The moment Eliza stepped into the reception hall in her borrowed emerald dress, every head turned. No one could believe this radiant woman was the same person who'd been sleeping under the Jefferson Street Bridge just 3 weeks ago. But as she gracefully made her way across the dance floor with Jack, the whispers began. His ex-wife Charlotte's perfect day was about to take an unexpected turn that would change all their lives forever. If you're enjoying this incredible true story of second chances and unexpected love, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more heartwarming content that reminds us of the power of human connection. My name is Jack Harmon, and 6 months ago, I was dreading my ex-wife's wedding more than a root canal without anesthesia. Charlotte and I had been divorced for 3 years, but we shared custody of our 10-year-old daughter, Lily. When the embossed invitation arrived requesting my presence at her wedding to Richard, my former business partner, no less, I wanted to toss it straight into the trash. But Lily was the flower girl, and Charlotte insisted my attendance would show healthy co-parenting to our daughter. I was 38, single, and the owner of a struggling bookstore. The thought of showing up alone to watch my ex marry a man with 3 vacation homes made my stomach churn. My friends suggested I hire an escort or bring a random date, but those options felt pathetic. I resigned myself to attending solo, armed with nothing but my dignity and a moderately priced blender from their registry. Then came that rainy Tuesday in April that changed everything. I was closing the bookstore late, struggling to carry boxes of new releases to my car when I noticed her. A woman huddled in the alley beside my shop, using flattened cardboard boxes as shelter from the downpour. Something made me stop. Maybe it was the way she clutched a dog-eared paperback to her chest, protecting it from the rain more carefully than herself. "Are you okay?" I called out, immediately feeling foolish. Of course she wasn't okay. She looked up, and I was struck by her eyes, intelligent, wary, and a startling shade of hazel that seemed to shift colors even in the dim light. "I'm fine," she replied with unexpected clarity. "Just waiting for the rain to let up." I noticed she had no bags, no card of possessions, just the clothes on her back and that single book. Against my better judgment, I offered her a cup of coffee inside the store. To my surprise, she accepted. Her name was Eliza Morgan. She was 35 and had been homeless for 8 months. As we sat among shelves of books with steaming mugs between us, she told me fragments of her story. She'd been an English professor at a small college upstate until a series of catastrophes, her mother's cancer, medical bills, depression, and finally losing her job, had dismantled her life piece by piece. "The fall happens faster than anyone expects," she said, running her finger along the rim of her mug. "One day you're grading papers in your office, the next you're calculating if you have enough change for laundry or food." What struck me most wasn't her circumstances but her dignity. She spoke without self-pity, and when she discussed the novel she was reading, a worn copy of The Great Gatsby, her face transformed with passion and insight. I offered her a job on the spot. Part-time help at the bookstore. She could sleep on the pull-out couch in my office until she found something better. It was impulsive and probably foolish, but something told me to trust her. "Why would you help a stranger?" she asked, suspicion clouding her features. I didn't have a good answer except the truth. "Because I've been at the bottom too. Different circumstances, but I know what it's like when no one extends a hand." After my divorce, I'd spiraled into depression so severe I nearly lost my business and custody of Lily. A kind landlord who gave me extra time on rent and a therapist who offered sliding scale sessions had saved me. Maybe this was my chance to pay it forward. Eliza started work the next day. She was brilliant with customers, could recommend the perfect book for anyone, and organized our chaotic inventory system within a week. She slept in the office, showered at the gym next door where I had a membership, and slowly began rebuilding her life. We developed an easy friendship, sharing takeout dinners after closing and discussing books late into the evening. Lily adored her immediately. During my custody weekends, Eliza would help her with homework and introduced her to classics adapted for younger readers. My daughter, who had struggled with the divorce, blossomed under Eliza's gentle attention. A month into our arrangement, Lily mentioned the wedding. "Dad, are you bringing anyone to Mom's wedding?" she asked over breakfast. "No, sweetheart. It'll just be me," I replied, trying to keep my tone light. Lily frowned. "Mom says it's sad you're coming alone. She told Richard you probably couldn't find a date. Children's honesty can cut deeper than any knife." I forced a smile and changed the subject, but the comment stung. That evening, as Eliza and I closed the shop, I found myself venting about the upcoming wedding and Charlotte's remarks. "Why don't I go with you?" Eliza suggested casually, shelving a stack of poetry books. I stared at her. "To my ex-wife's wedding? Why not? I clean up pretty well, despite recent evidence to the contrary." Her smile was teasing but kind. "Plus, I owe you for everything. Let me help you save face." I should have declined. It was a terrible idea for countless reasons. Instead, I heard myself say, "Okay, but only if you're sure." The weeks leading up to the wedding transformed Eliza. With her first paychecks, she rented a small room in a shared house nearby. She cut her hair, bought second-hand professional clothes, and began to resemble the professor she once was. We never discussed the wedding arrangement again, and I half expected her to back out. Then came the Friday before Charlotte's big day. Eliza didn't show up for work. No call, no message. By closing time, worry had replaced my initial irritation. I drove to her new address, fearing the worst, that she'd relapsed into whatever demons had claimed her before, or simply moved on. I found her sitting on the steps of her building, looking shell-shocked. "I got a job offer," she said without preamble. "A real one. Teaching position at Westfield Community College. They want me to start Monday." Relief flooded through me, followed immediately by a complicated tangle of emotions I wasn't ready to examine. "Eliza, that's incredible. I didn't think they'd even consider me with the gap in my employment. But my old department chair wrote me a recommendation." Her voice broke slightly. "I can be a person again." I hugged her impulsively, and she stiffened before relaxing into the embrace. When we pulled apart, something had shifted between us, a new awareness that made us both step back. "About tomorrow," she said. "The wedding. I still want to go. To celebrate this new beginning. And to thank you properly." The morning of the wedding, I picked up Eliza at her place. When she opened the door, I barely recognized her. She wore a simple emerald dress that brought out the green in her hazel eyes. Her dark hair was swept up elegantly, and she'd applied subtle makeup that highlighted her high cheekbones and full lips. She looked confident, beautiful, and nothing like someone who'd been homeless 2 months earlier. "Will I do?" she asked, a rare vulnerability in her voice. "Charlotte's going to regret every life choice she's ever made," I replied, only half joking. The ceremony was held at an exclusive country club overlooking the lake. Charlotte had spared no expense: string quartet, ice sculptures, champagne fountains. When we arrived, heads turned. I felt a childish satisfaction at the surprised looks from mutual friends who had expected me to slink in alone. Charlotte, stunning in her designer gown, did a double-take when she spotted us during the reception line. "Jack," she said, air-kissing my cheek. "I didn't know you were bringing someone." "This is Eliza Morgan," I said. "Eliza, my ex-wife Charlotte and her husband Richard." "Congratulations," Eliza said warmly, shaking their hands. "What a beautiful ceremony." Charlotte's eyes narrowed slightly. "And how did you two meet?" Before I could answer, Eliza smiled. "Jack gave me a job when I desperately needed one. He's an extraordinary man." The simple truth, delivered without embellishment, left Charlotte momentarily speechless. Richard, always the diplomat, quickly filled the silence with pleasantries before they moved on to greet other guests. "Sorry," Eliza whispered. "Was that okay?" It was perfect, I assured her. The reception progressed predictably: overcooked chicken, excessive toasts, and the DJ playing all the wedding standards. Lily ran over periodically in her flower girl dress to check on us, clearly delighted that I hadn't come alone. Eliza charmed everyone she met, discussing literature with Charlotte's professor father and gardening with Richard's grandmother. Then came the moment that changed everything. The DJ announced it was time for the dollar dance, a tradition where guests pay $1 to dance with the bride or groom, with proceeds going toward their honeymoon. As Charlotte danced with her elderly uncle, Richard approached our table. "May I have this dance?" he asked Eliza, extending his hand. She glanced at me uncertainly. I nodded. It would have been awkward to refuse the groom. As they moved onto the dance floor, I watched Richard lean in to say something that made Eliza laugh. Charlotte, finishing her dance, noticed them too. Her expression darkened slightly. What happened next became wedding legend in our social circle. The music shifted to "At Last" by Etta James. Richard returned to Charlotte's side, but instead of coming back to our table, Eliza was intercepted by Charlotte's father for another dance. Then Richard's best man. Then my cousin Thomas. For the next hour, Eliza was continuously on the dance floor, passed from one admiring partner to another. She danced with grace and genuine enjoyment, listening intently to each partner, laughing at their jokes, asking thoughtful questions. People were drawn to her authentic warmth in a room full of polite social performance. I finally claimed a dance myself, pulling her close as the band played a slow number. "You're the hit of the wedding," I murmured. "I'm just being myself," she replied, her cheek against my shoulder. "It's been so long since I could be." Looking over her shoulder, I caught Charlotte watching us, her perfect smile slipping just slightly. For once, I felt no satisfaction in her discomfort, only gratitude for the woman in my arms. Later, as the reception wound down, Lily found us by the dessert table. "Dad, can Eliza come for pancakes tomorrow? Mom always lets me have Sunday pancakes at your place after sleepovers." "If Eliza's not busy," I hedged, not wanting to pressure her. "I love pancakes," Eliza said seriously to Lily. "Especially with blueberries." "We have blueberries," Lily exclaimed, delighted. "And chocolate chips and bananas and..." "Lily." Charlotte's voice cut through the moment. "Time to say goodbye to your father. You're staying with Grandma tonight, remember?" My daughter hugged us both before running off. Charlotte approached, her smile tight. "Your friend is quite the social butterfly," she said, her tone making "friend" sound like a questionable term. "Eliza's actually a professor," I replied. "She's starting at Westfield on Monday." Charlotte's eyebrows rose. "Really? How unexpected." "People are often more than they appear," Eliza said quietly. Something in her tone made Charlotte look at her more carefully. For a moment, the competitive ex-wife facade dropped, and I glimpsed the thoughtful woman I'd once loved. "Yes," Charlotte said finally. "I suppose they are." She hesitated, then added, "Thank you both for coming." It meant a lot to Lily. As we drove home in comfortable silence, I realized something profound had shifted. For 3 years, I defined myself partly through the lens of failure, failed marriage, struggling business, weekend dad. But seeing myself reflected in Eliza's eyes offered a different perspective. Maybe I wasn't a failure at all. Maybe I was just a man who had faced challenges and kept going. "Thank you for today," I said as I pulled up to her building. "I should be thanking you," she replied. "For everything." "About those pancakes tomorrow." I began hesitantly. "I'll be there at 9, she said with a smile. "With blueberries." I watched her walk to her door, elegant even in her slightly too big second-hand heels. She turned and waved before disappearing inside. 6 months later, Eliza moved into my house. A year after that, we had a small wedding in the bookstore, with Lily as our flower girl again. Charlotte and Richard came, bringing an expensive blender that made us all laugh at the inside joke. Sometimes life's most beautiful chapters begin in the most unexpected places, like a rainy alley beside a struggling bookstore, where two broken people recognized something in each other worth saving. The woman who stole the show at my ex-wife's wedding didn't do it with flashy clothes or dramatic scenes. She did it by being authentically herself, resilient, kind, and unafraid to begin again. Eliza taught me that rock bottom can be the solid foundation on which you rebuild your life. Sometimes, you just need someone to believe you're worth the investment. And if you're watching this and feeling like you've hit your own rock bottom, remember Eliza's words: the fall happens faster than anyone expects, but the climb back up reveals strengths you never knew you had. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more stories that remind us second chances are always possible, and that sometimes, the most beautiful love stories begin with a simple act of kindness.